I'm really happy with the performance of this inexpensive plastic 80 square foot solar collector I got from my above ground pool. On a bright sunny day, pumping 400 gallons per hour through it, I get a 7-degree increase in temperature of the water between the inlet and outlets. Well, that's pretty good. I've noticed that the plastic isn't really very black, it's more of a dark gray. Also, it's very smooth and shiny, so most of the light striking it at an angle gets reflected away. I got to wondering if I could find a flat black spray paint which would make it darker and less reflective so that it would increase its efficiency. So I purchased 14 different spray paints and one brushable paint to see which produced the darkest finish. Since the surface being painted is already black, this test will not address how well these paints cover light-colored surfaces, nor will the durability of these paints be discussed. The only brush-on paint I'm using is number 15, and I'm including that because it's advertised as being one of the darkest paints available to the consumer market. I'm really hoping it doesn't work very well because that little bottle costs $27. We'll do two comparisons. This first one shows the light striking the surface pretty much perpendicular. Number 1 is about average. The sprayed test areas are above the numbers. Number 2 wasn't just the lightest, it was also the messiest to spray. Number 3 was the slowest drying of all the paints tested. And as you can see, it was also the most difficult to get a uniform coating. Between these painted areas of section 3 and section 4 is a narrow strip that didn't get any paint. As you can see, it's actually darker than number 4, so I wouldn't rate number 4 as very dark. Number 5 is very slightly darker than number 4, but still not as dark as the original panel, so I doubt if I'd want to use it. And I'm sorry to say that number 6 really isn't much better. Even worse, the paint came out in a sputtering stream that was very difficult and messy to control. So far, number 7 looks like one of the darker paints we've tested. Like several other paints we've tested, number 8 doesn't look particularly good. But remember, this is just half the test. Perhaps when we have the light glancing off of it at an angle, it'll actually look better. I certainly can't complain about the price. Nine looks so bright, I don't think it's very promising. Number 10 looks really good, but that's an illusion. Although the can was clearly labeled flat black, it came out glossy black, and most of the light is being reflected away from the camera, so it looks darker than it actually is. Number 11 was the cleanest spraying and produced the sharpest edge from the stencil. Not only was number 12 one of the brighter paints, its small can size and high price made it one of the most expensive of the paints tested. It also had the very worst odor. Krylon's Camouflage Flat Black gets a lot of good reviews, but this test didn't seem to indicate it was much better than any of the others. Number 14, Krylon's SuperMaxx all-in-one paint also wasn't very impressive. Finally, we have Stewart Semple's Black 2.0. Now this is a brush-on paint, so it's not really fair to compare it against the sprays, but it gives a reference to judge them against. Now I'll be the first to admit that $27 for a 150 milliliter bottle is way too much to paint for a large area. I was pleasantly surprised at how far this paint stretches. Let's take a step back so we can see more of the paints at one time for an easier comparison. This segment was filmed about an hour later, so the sun is even more perpendicular to the surface of the collectors. From this view, number 8's looking very good, almost as good as number 15. 10 starts off looking pretty good, but very quickly you can pick up some bright glints reflecting off its glossy surface. It's now 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun is striking the solar panel at about 45 degrees. The camera's on the opposite side, catching light glancing off of the solar array. Looking at the unpainted area below the test patches shows how much light is glancing off the array, which is why I'm looking for a good flat black paint. At this angle, number 4 and 8 look really good. Number 10, the glossy paint that was labeled as flat black, is reflecting almost as much as a mirror and is one I wouldn't want to use. Number 12 also looks pretty good, but as you can see from this angle, none of the sprays come close to matching the blackness and the flatness of number 15. All things considered, I found the Project Source flat black spray paint to be as good as any of them and better than most, and has the added virtue of being one of the cheapest. What I'm going to do is use the very expensive Black 2.0 as far as it'll go, and then paint the rest of the array with the Project Source. I hope you found this video helpful, and that you'll stop by and visit my main website, waynesthisthandthat.com, where you can find hundreds of pages covering a wide range of topics. Thanks for watching.